3 weeks before our wedding, my fiancée vanished to party with her ex. That's when I quietly started crafting a plan of my own. What came next was the last thing she expected. It all started like any normal morning. I reached over to her side of the bed, and it was cold, empty. At first, I didn't think too much of it. Maybe she went for a run or had something to take care of early. But after I got up, brushed my teeth, and noticed her side of the bathroom still perfectly in place, untouched, that's when a weird feeling settled in my gut. She hadn't come home last night. I grabbed my phone and tried calling her. Straight to voicemail. I shot her a text, "Hey, where are you? Woke up and you weren't home." No reply. As the hours dragged on, I went from confused to anxious. Rachel always let me know where she was going. Even if it was just a quick errand, she'd usually send a message. But by the afternoon, her phone was still off, and my thoughts were spinning out of control. Was she all right? Did something happen to her? I called her family, hoping she might be with them. Her mom sounded worried too, had no clue where she was. Her dad hadn't heard anything either and said she hadn't mentioned leaving. That's when panic really kicked in. If her own parents were clueless, this was way more than just a little miscommunication. Next, I started reaching out to her friends. Nobody answered. A couple of them even left me on read, which just pissed me off more. These were the same people who couldn't stop chatting when we'd all go out together. And now? Crickets. By the evening, I was pacing circles in the living room, wondering if I should call the cops. What if something bad had happened? I barely slept that night. My phone didn't leave my hand. Every time it buzzed, my heart would jump, hoping it was her. It never was. Around 5 a.m., drained and restless, I opened Instagram just to scroll, not really thinking. And there it was. A group photo popped up, her college friends at some bar, laughing, drinks in hand. And there she was, dead center, smiling like she didn't have a single worry. My stomach dropped. I stared at the photo, praying I was wrong. But it was definitely her. The post tagged the bar's location, and I clicked it out of curiosity. It wasn't even nearby. It was in Spain. Spain. My fiancée, who I was supposed to marry in just 3 weeks, had flown to a whole other continent without telling me. My brain just couldn't compute it. This had to be some kind of mistake. But no, it was her, right there, grinning with her friends like everything was fine. No text. No call. No heads up. Nothing. I was beyond furious. Who does something like that? How do you just vanish on your partner with zero explanation? I messaged her immediately, "I know where you are. You better be on the next flight home or this wedding's off." I didn't care how harsh it sounded. What else was I supposed to say? I followed up with a long message, pouring out how let down I felt. Of course, no response. Her phone was still off. That night, I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, reliving every memory, wondering how we even got here. The next day, her parents called again, checking if I'd heard anything. When I told them what I found, they were stunned. "Spain?" her mom asked, her voice shaking like she was about to cry. Her dad muttered something under his breath about her damn friends. They promised they'd try to reach her, but honestly, I wasn't holding out much hope. At that point, I wasn't even heartbroken anymore. I was just pissed off. The woman I loved, the one I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with, ditched me to go party in a different country. And it wasn't even about the wedding anymore. It was about basic respect. That evening, she finally called. Her voice was calm, like nothing happened. Hey, she said casually, like we weren't standing at the edge of a cliff. I didn't let her get far. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" I snapped, my voice shaking. "You vanished." I thought something happened to you. Do you even know how scared I was? She sighed like I was being dramatic. It's not that big of a deal, she said. Not that big of a deal? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She started explaining that her college friends had been planning this surprise trip for months. They only told her about it last week, and everything was already booked and paid for. She claimed she didn't want to go at first, but they convinced her, and she didn't want to waste the money. I asked her straight up, "Why didn't you just tell me?" "Because I knew you'd overreact," she said. "Yeah, I wanted to go. I deserved it. I haven't had a trip with my friends in years." Overreact? I couldn't even find the words. I was too stunned to yell. I just asked, "What about our wedding? Did that even cross your mind?" She brushed it off. "I'll be back before then. It's only 3 weeks. Relax." Relax? That word set me off. "If you're not back tomorrow," I told her, "then there's no wedding to come back to." She didn't even hesitate. "And since your aunt already told you I'm staying, deal with it." Then she hung up. I'm not proud of what I did after that, but I just sat there, stewing in rage. Every time I pictured her in some Spanish bar, laughing it up while I was stuck here cleaning up the mess she made, my blood boiled. That's when I decided, I wasn't waiting around for her return. The wedding was off. She wanted to party? Fine. Let her. But she wasn't dancing her way back into my life. The morning after that awful phone call, I woke up feeling empty. I barely slept, just kept replaying our conversation in my head. How did it get to this point? A few days earlier, we were picking cake flavors and finalizing the guest list. Now, I was lying there, trying to convince myself this wasn't all just a bad dream. When I finally crawled out of bed, the first thing I did was check my phone. Nothing. No missed calls. No texts. No apology. And deep down, I think I already knew, I wasn't going to hear from her. Still, I found myself scrolling through Instagram again, even though it felt like I was punching myself in the gut. More pictures. More stories. Now she was on some beach, drink in hand, with her arm around one of her friends. She looked so damn happy. And you know what? I wasn't even jealous anymore. I was just mad. Mad that while I was over here falling apart, she was out there like none of this mattered. Because the worst part? She didn't seem to care, not about me, not about us. That's when I realized, I wasn't going to sit around waiting for her to wake up and care. The first thing I did was text the wedding planner, "We need to talk." Just typing those words felt unreal, like I was talking about someone else's wedding, some stranger's disaster, not mine. She replied almost instantly, probably thinking I just wanted to tweak the seating chart or change some last-minute detail. Yeah, not quite. Then I sat down and tried to write a message to our guests. I must have stared at that screen for ages, rewriting the words in my head a dozen times before I finally typed it out. "Hi everyone. I just wanted to let you know the wedding is cancelled. Please don't reach out about this right now, I need time to process. Thanks for understanding." I didn't go into detail. Didn't feel like I owed anyone more than that. The second I hit send, the messages started rolling in. Most were kind, "So sorry to hear this," or "Let me know if you need anything." But some folks wanted the tea. "What happened? Are you okay?" I ignored those. I wasn't ready to talk. Not yet. By that afternoon, the news had already spread. Her parents called me again, voices shaky and confused. "What's going on?" her mom asked. "Why are people saying the wedding's off?" So I told them. I explained everything, her disappearing act, the Instagram stories, the phone call, the total disregard for everything we'd built. Her mom cried. Her dad didn't say much, just mumbled something about how she needed to grow up. They said they'd try to talk to her, but I didn't have much hope. If she didn't listen to me, why would she listen to them? That night, she tried calling again. I let it ring. I wasn't in the mood for more excuses. She followed up with a text, "Please answer. I just want to talk." I didn't respond. The next day, I started making the hard calls, canceling the venue, the florist, the photographer. I thought it would feel like ripping off a bandage, but surprisingly, it felt good. Like I was finally taking back control. Each cancellation was like another step forward. I wasn't going to let her chaos keep running my life. The wedding planner was understanding. "I'm so sorry to hear this. Let me know if there's anything I can do." Some of the vendors, though, not so understanding. A few slapped me with cancellation fees that really stung, but I'd deal with that later. Once all that was done, the only thing left was to pack up her stuff. I couldn't even look at it. I just tossed everything, her clothes, her books, those dumb little trinkets she always had to display on the coffee table, into boxes as fast as I could. I shoved it all into the spare room. Out of sight, out of mind. That night, her parents called again. Said they'd finally reached her. Apparently, she was upset and wanted to come home. "Just let her explain," her mom begged. "She loves you." But love? That wasn't enough. If she really loved me, she wouldn't have done this in the first place. I told them, flat, she can come back. But not to me. 3 days later, she showed up. I saw her car pull into the driveway, suitcase in the trunk. I didn't even open the door. She knocked. And knocked. Called my name. "Please, let's talk," she yelled through the door. "We can fix this." Her voice cracked, and for a second, I felt myself weaken. But just for a second. Then I remembered her voice on that call. Her laughing in those Instagram stories. The way she told me to deal with it. I spoke through the door. "I already told you. The wedding's off. You made your choice." That's when she started crying. Loud, messy sobs that cut through the door. It hurt like hell to hear her like that, but I couldn't let her back in. Not after everything. Eventually, she gave up and left. I watched through the window as she drove away, tears running down her face. I felt lighter, like some massive weight had finally been lifted, but also like a piece of me had just been ripped away. That night, my phone lit up again. More messages, her friends, her family, even a few of our mutual friends. "She's really sorry. Don't you think you should talk to her?" But I couldn't. Not yet. Maybe not ever. After she left, the finality of it all started to sink in. This wasn't just a break. The wedding was off. The relationship was over. At first, I felt a strange relief. Like I'd finally made a decision and didn't have to keep torturing myself with the what-ifs. But that feeling didn't last. Everywhere I looked, I saw her. Those silly magnets she collected from every trip. Her favorite mug still in the sink. That photo of us at her cousin's wedding last year, where everyone kept saying we looked like the perfect couple. It was like the whole apartment was mocking me. I thought about boxing everything up and dropping it at her parents' place. But even picturing her mom's face made my stomach twist. So instead, I just closed the spare room door and left it all in there. Out of sight, out of mind, or at least that's what I told myself. But the messages didn't stop. Friends. Family. Random acquaintances. Everyone wanted to know what happened. Some were kind, "I'm so sorry you're going through this. Let me know if you need anything." But others? Not so much. A few mutual friends started pushing back. "You're really ending the wedding over this?" one wrote. "She didn't cheat on you, she just went on a trip with her friends. Aren't you overreacting?" That word. Overreacting. I kept hearing it, and it ticked me off every single time. No, I wasn't overreacting. This wasn't just about the trip. It was about how she handled it. She ghosted me. Shut me out. Ignored every message, every call. And when I finally tracked her down, she acted like I was the crazy one. She knew exactly what she was doing. So I messaged one of the more persistent friends back. She made her choice. Now she has to live with it. Her parents didn't stop either. They called every day for a week, begging me to talk to her. She's devastated, her mom said. She knows she messed up. Her dad even tried to guilt-trip me. You've been together for 5 years, he said. You're really going to throw all that away over one bad decision? That phrase stuck with me. One bad decision. But was it just one? Or was it something deeper? I kept thinking about what she said on the phone, how she needed to live a little before settling down. It was like she was already regretting the life we were building. And I couldn't unhear that. Eventually, even my own parents got pulled in. I don't know if Rachel's folks called them, or if the news just traveled on its own. But one night, I got a message from my mom. Plenty to talk. When I called my mom back, she didn't waste time. What's going on? She asked. Why is the wedding cancelled? I tried to explain, but it just didn't register with her. She kept cutting me off, asking why I couldn't just forgive Rachel and move on. People make mistakes, she said. You're not perfect either, you know? That hit a nerve. I mean, sure, I'm not perfect. Who is? But this wasn't about someone forgetting to pick up milk or having a fight over dinner plans. This was my fiancé bailing on me, without a word, just 3 weeks before our wedding to party in another country. It's not just the trip, Mom, I told her. It's how she handled everything. She didn't respect me. She didn't respect what we had. She just sighed and said, I think you're making a big mistake. That was the end of that conversation. A few days later, I hit my limit. Rachel's friends emailed me. Not a text. Not a DM. A full-blown email. I guess they figured I'd blocked them everywhere else, so this was their last shot. The message started with some weak apology. Jake, we're sorry things turned out this way, they wrote. We never meant for it to go this far. But as I kept reading, it became pretty obvious, they weren't actually apologizing. They were just trying to make me the bad guy. She was really looking forward to this trip, they said. She's been so stressed about the wedding. We thought it would help her relax. Then came the kicker. We didn't think you'd react like this. React like what? Like a normal person whose fiancé vanished without saying a word? And then they admitted something even worse. They had told her to ignore me. We told her not to worry about your texts, they wrote. We figured you'd cool off once she got back. Cool off? While they were halfway across the world partying with my fiancé? I didn't even finish reading it. I deleted the email and blocked the sender. By the end of the week, I'd had enough. I texted Rachel's parents and told them she could come by to pick up her stuff. I wasn't going to drop it off, and I sure as hell wasn't going to stick around for a tearful goodbye. Just tell her to come when I'm not home, I wrote. Her mom called me right away. Please, just talk to her, she begged. She's been crying non-stop. She's not eating, not sleeping. She needs to see you. She needed to see me before she got on that plane, I said. That shut her up. The next day, Rachel finally texted me, for the first time since she'd come back. Can we talk? I just want to explain. But I didn't need an explanation. I'd seen everything I needed to see. I replied, I'm sorry. It's too late. She didn't respond. When she eventually came to collect her things, I thought I'd feel better. Like that would be the final step in moving on. But standing there, watching her dad carry box after box to their car, I felt something else, something heavier. A dull ache in my chest I couldn't shake. This wasn't how it was supposed to end. We were supposed to grow old together, build a life, raise a family. Now it was all being packed into boxes and taken away. When they were done, her dad walked over, shook my hand, and said, "I'm sorry it had to end like this." "Me too," I replied. Rachel didn't say a word. Just got in the car and drove off. That night, I sat in the apartment, staring at the leftover boxes. Photos, old letters, little souvenirs from trips we'd taken. I couldn't bring myself to throw them out. Not yet. So I stuffed everything into the closet and shut the door. The days after Rachel came to pick up her stuff were quiet, but not the kind of quiet I'd hoped for. It was suffocating. The walls felt like they were closing in. For the first time in years, I had no one to text, no one to call. I couldn't even scroll social media without seeing her face. Even after blocking her friends, some of them still found ways to get through. A few mutual friends who hadn't taken sides yet tried to play peacemaker. Rachel really regrets everything, they told me. Just talk to her. One conversation. I told them what I told everyone else. It's over. Please stop bringing this up. But the pressure didn't stop. Some friends, people I thought would have my back, turned on me. "She was selfish, sure," one texted, "but you've been together 5 years and now you're throwing it all away because of your ego?" There it was again. Ego. Like I was just being controlling. Like I couldn't handle her having fun without me. But that wasn't it. This wasn't about control. It was about trust. About respect. So, I blocked that friend too. My parents, meanwhile, would not let it go. Every time I talked to them, Rachel came up. "You should give her a chance," my mom said, for the third time that week. "She's young. You both are." "She's not too young to know how to communicate," I snapped. Then my dad chimed in. "Sometimes you've got to look at the big picture. Are you really ready to let 6 years go because of one fight?" It wasn't a fight, I told them. It was a choice. She chose to leave. They didn't get it. I don't think they ever would. The final straw came about a week later. I stopped by their place to pick up some of my old stuff, and my mom cornered me in the kitchen, again. "She's been calling us," she said. "She's heartbroken. Don't you think you should at least hear her out?" "No, Mom," I said, trying to stay calm. But she kept going. "She's a good girl. She just got caught up in the moment. That doesn't mean she doesn't love you." That's when I snapped. If she loved me, she wouldn't have done this. End of story. Mom looked like I'd slapped her. She didn't say anything else. And when I left, I knew things between us wouldn't be the same. In the middle of all that, Rachel's college friends tried again. This time, texting me from some new number. "We just wanted to say sorry again for everything. We didn't mean for it to get this bad." I didn't even answer. They made their choice when they encouraged her to ghost me and run off to Spain. Their regrets meant nothing now. But they wouldn't stop. "She's miserable without you," one of them wrote. "She'll do anything to fix this. Please, just talk to her." I blocked that number too. The truth is, I wanted to move on. I wanted to wake up one morning and not feel like my life had been shattered. But every time I tried, someone would drag me right back into the wreckage. Mutual friends. Her family. Even people who barely knew us felt the need to weigh in like they had any say in my life. The only thing that helped was work. I started diving headfirst into it, taking on every shift I could, staying late, keeping busy. Work was the only place that felt normal. It was draining, yeah, but staying busy was the only thing that kept my mind from spiraling. I also started hitting the gym. Not because I had some big plan to win the breakup or get a revenge body. I just needed something, anything, to get me out of the house. At first, it was just to pass the time. But slowly, it became a routine. A distraction. Something I could rely on. 3 weeks after Rachel picked up her stuff, I got a message from her parents. "She'd like to talk to you," her dad texted. Just one conversation, for closure. Closure. That word actually made me laugh. Bitterly. She didn't care about closure when she flew off to Spain. She didn't want closure when she ignored my calls and told me to deal with it. And now, all of a sudden, she wanted closure. I didn't answer. About a month later, I ran into her at a coffee shop. It was the first time I'd seen her since she came to get her stuff, and it completely caught me off guard. She was sitting by the window, staring at her phone. She looked tired. Older, somehow. I froze. Part of me wanted to walk out before she noticed. But before I could turn away, she looked up. Our eyes met. And for a split second, it felt like time stood still. She gave me a faint smile and a small wave. I hesitated, then walked over to her table. "Hi," she said, soft and unsure. We stood there awkwardly for a few seconds before she motioned to the seat across from her. "Do you want to sit?" So I did. We didn't talk about the wedding. Or the trip. Or the way everything fell apart. Instead, we just chatted. Small talk. She told me about her new job. I told her about mine. It felt polite. Distant. Like two people who used to know each other, but had long since moved on. When I left, I felt strange. Not sad, exactly. Just empty. That coffee shop run-in made something click in my head. I realized I was never going to get the closure I thought I needed. Not from her. Not from anyone. If I wanted to move on, I had to accept that some things don't get wrapped up in a nice little bow. Some wounds don't heal cleanly. So that's what I started trying to do. After that day, I found myself thinking about her more. Not because I wanted her back. It wasn't that. It was more about trying to make sense of the last 5 years of my life. What went wrong? Could I have done something different? Was I too harsh? Too rigid? Those questions haunted me. I'd lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling in the silence of that too-quiet apartment, reliving all those early memories. Her laugh back in college. Our late-night talks about the future. How sure we were of where we were headed. 5 years. And now, we were basically strangers. About 4 months after the breakup, I started therapy. A friend of mine, one of the few who stuck by me through it all, gently nudged me in that direction. At first, I brushed it off. "I'm fine," I told her. "I just need time." But time wasn't doing the trick. Every time I felt like I was starting to move forward, something would yank me back. A song on the radio. A message from someone who didn't know the wedding was off. A random memory. It was exhausting. That first therapy session was uncomfortable. I didn't even know where to start. So I just blurted out, I was supposed to get married, but I called it off. The therapist nodded and asked me to keep going. And I did. Everything came pouring out. The confusion, the guilt, the anger I didn't even know I'd been carrying. By the time the session ended, I felt like I'd just finished a marathon. Therapy didn't magically fix everything, but it helped. It helped me unpack a lot of the stuff I hadn't even realized I was dragging around. I started to see that my anger wasn't just about the trip. It went deeper. Rachel's actions opened my eyes to how differently we viewed our relationship. To me, marriage was a partnership. Something we were both building together. To her, it felt like it was something she was doing because people expected her to. At one session, my therapist asked a question that stuck with me. If this hadn't happened, do you think you would have seen the signs later? That question haunted me for weeks. What if the wedding had gone on? What if we spent years together, only to realize we were never really aligned? Maybe it hurt now, but maybe this ending saved me from a bigger pain down the road. I started focusing more on myself. I wasn't just going to the gym anymore, I was setting goals. I began running in the mornings. Took a cooking class just so I could stop living on takeout. It wasn't about distraction anymore. It was about growth. Work became a place where I could breathe. I threw myself into projects, volunteered for extra stuff, and after a few months, I even got a small promotion. My co-workers joked I was becoming a workaholic. Maybe I was. But it sure beats sitting at home, stewing in my own thoughts. About 6 months after the breakup, Rachel texted me. It was short. Just, "Hey, I hope you're doing well." I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Another part wanted to reply, not to start something again, but maybe just to acknowledge what we once had. In the end, I wrote back. "I am. I hope you are too." She never responded. And honestly, I was okay with that. Things with my parents were still rocky. They were so caught up in the image of Rachel and me as the perfect couple, they refused to see how messy it had gotten near the end. Every time I tried to explain, they'd just say I was being too emotional or stubborn. It hurt, but I stopped chasing their approval. Instead, I started spending holidays with friends. And honestly, it felt healthier. A year after the wedding that wasn't, something changed. I felt lighter. Not quite happy. But no longer weighed down. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't stuck reliving every conversation or second-guessing myself. I saw Rachel one more time, at a mutual friend's wedding. She was there with someone new. So was I. We shared a quick, polite smile from across the room, but that was it. No conversation. No drama. Later that night, while dancing with my date, it hit me. I wasn't sad. I wasn't jealous. I wasn't anything. It was over. And that was okay. Looking back now, I think calling off the wedding was the hardest, but best, decision I've ever made. It was messy. It was painful. But it made me confront things I would have kept brushing aside. In this past year, I've learned a lot. I've learned how to stand up for what I need. I've learned that it's okay to walk away, even from something you've poured years into, if it stops serving you. And most importantly, I've learned that sometimes, the only real way forward, is letting go.